Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mita Speaks, where creativity takes center stage. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today we're diving into the first official beat in the Save the Cat Writes a Novel beat sheet, the opening image. If you're just joining us, last episode we introduced the concept of beats, those key moments that drive the emotional and structural flow of your novel. And over the coming weeks, we'll be exploring each beat in more detail, starting today with one of the most important beats, the opening image. To quickly recap, Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody is based on Blake Snyder's original screenwriting guide, Save the Cat. It's been adapted for novelists and helps you structure your book around these 15 essential beats. These beats guide the rhythm of your story from the opening line to the final page. Now, unlike traditional outlines, the Save the Cat method doesn't just focus on plot points. It emphasizes key emotional beats that connect your readers to your characters. Today, we're starting with the first beat, the opening image. This beat is your reader's very first glimpse into the world of your story, and it's crucial because it sets the tone and mood for everything that follows. So, what exactly is the opening image? Well, this beat occurs usually in about the first 1% of your novel. It's almost always the first chapter, often even just the first few pages. It's the moment where you set the stage and offer a snapshot of your protagonist's world before the big change starts to happen. The opening image tells the reader who your character is, where they are, and what their life looks like before the adventure begins. Think of it like a before picture. This is your protagonist's normal, the baseline they're about to move away from. It's a snapshot of their current mindset, their emotional state, and the way they interact with the world around them. It's the starting point of their journey. So let's look at some popular examples to help you understand this beat in action. In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the opening image is the first chapter where we actually meet Harry living under the stairs at the Dursleys' house. He is miserable, unloved, and unaware of the magical world he's about to become a part of. This sets the stage for his transformation from a neglected boy into a powerful wizard. In The Hunger Games, the opening image shows us Katniss in District 12, sneaking through the woods to hunt for food. We immediately understand that her world is one of scarcity, survival, responsibility, where she's the provider for her family. This snapshot prepares us for the extreme stakes that she will face in the capital. If you think about a classic, The Great Gatsby, the opening image introduces us to Nick, observing the lives of the wealthy from his small house. We get that sense of his outsider status, a theme that runs throughout the entire novel. A good opening image I love to see, I enjoy watching, is in Stranger Things. When we first meet the team of ragtag boys, what are they doing? They're playing D&D. Very casual, fun game. But it shows us, one, that they're not exactly the most popular boys in school, but it also kind of provides a contrast to what we'll see later. Boys going from a fantasy world to real-life danger and struggle with some creatures who look very much like what they see in their game. Now, lastly, I encourage you to check out the first 4 episodes of my book, Elementals, on Kindle Vella by S.C. Lauren. These early chapters provide an illustration of the opening image beat, introducing each of the 4 protagonists and giving readers a glimpse into the world before the story's main events unfold. So, in other words, my Elementals has 4 different opening images because each protagonist has their own emotional story arc. So let's look at episode 1. In episode 1, we meet Niara, a girl from the Waterlands. Her opening image shows her on a boat with her brother on a fishing trip after having snuck away from her family's restaurant. This moment immediately connects us to her affinity with water, while also hinting at underlying family tensions, particularly between her brother and mother. This snapshot of Niara's life sets up her character's relationship with her environment and her family, themes that will be crucial as the story progresses. Now, in episode 2, we shift to see Dal in the Earthlands. His opening image is filled with tension. We find him on the run from his abusive cousins bolting through the woods. The anxiety and danger of the scene highlight his resilience and agility, even as we learn of his vulnerability due to his small stature. I mean, I literally have him jumping up a tree, and his cousins are running around trying to find him because there's no way he'd hiked up a giant oak tree in the middle of the woods. This image captures the essence of his character and the hardships he faces, setting the stage for his emotional journey. In episode 3, we meet Zan of the Firelands, where he's working in the mines to support his younger sister. Zan's opening image conveys a deep sense of desperation, showing us his role as both a caretaker and a survivor. The scene also hints at his struggle with mental health, giving readers a glimpse of his inner turmoil, a crucial aspect of his character that will shape his decisions throughout the story. And finally, we've got episode 4, Fifth of the Airlands. Here we find her lounging on a beach, completely unaware of the realities of the working class around her. She casually tosses a gold coin to a laborer across the river, puzzled by the worker's lack of gratitude. The opening image is particularly effective in highlighting Fifth's detachment from the struggles of others, even though she believes she's being kind. It gives us a clear sense of her privileged, sheltered world and her journey toward greater awareness. Each of these opening images sets the tone for the character's arc, introducing the key elements of their personalities, environment, and the challenges they're going to face. It creates a before picture that the reader will reference throughout their transformation. This is a vital aspect of storytelling. So why is the opening image so crucial? Well, it's the foundation for your entire story. It sets up the before that the reader will constantly reference as your character grows and changes. It sets the tone, hints at your story's theme, and draws readers in with a compelling hook. I always say the first sentence's job of your story is to make them want to read the second sentence. And, well, the second sentence's job is to make them want to read the third, and so on. So this opening image is a thing that's going to hook your reader and set up your story. It's not just about introducing the plot or setting. It's about showing your readers who your character is before they face the inevitable change. The journey is more impactful when we know where the protagonist is starting from. Without a clear opening image, your story risks feeling directionless, as the reader won't know how far your protagonist has come by the end. Now, the story can certainly start in the middle of the action, but we still need to see what life is like for your character. Vidal, for instance, when I mentioned Vidal of the Earthlands, it's in the middle of the action. He's running, he's getting hit in the face and slapped by vines. There's a lot going on there. But this is still his before life, the normal for him. So now that we've covered the opening image, next week we'll be talking about the second beat, the theme stated. While the opening image shows us what the protagonist's world looks like, the theme stated beat gives us a glimpse of what the story is really about, the deeper message or lesson the character will grapple with throughout their journey. This often comes in the form of a seemingly throwaway line, hinting at the story's core theme. You won't want to miss it because it's an essential part of your novel's emotional arc. Now, as always, if you want to see how I've used these beats in my own writing, check out Elementals by S.C. Lauren on Kindle Vella. The first 4 episodes are free, and you'll be able to see how I crafted opening images for each of my 4 protagonists. Each character has their own unique starting point, and their individual journeys are set in motion right from these first scenes. In order to follow along and see the theme stated in action, you really only need to read through episode 5 and 6, I believe, to get everybody's theme stated, and those episodes are also currently free on Kindle Vella. So if you want to stay on track with me for next week, read episodes 1 through 6, and you'll be good to go. Just head over to Amazon, search Elemental by S.C. Lauren on Kindle Vella, and start reading today. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at s.c.lauren for updates and sneak peeks and behind the scenes. So that wraps up today's episode of Nita Speaks. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the opening image beat and are excited to tackle the next step in your writing process. Next week, we'll dig into theme stated, so don't forget to tune in. Until next time, keep writing, keep dreaming, and remember, your story matters. This is Stephanie with Nita Speaks, where creativity takes center stage.
This is MJ Graham with Columbus Road Dragons, your home for Road Dragons hockey. Noonan 99 Rock.
Hank Arnold here from Coweta Force. Coweta Force is Noonan's own addiction recovery support center. We exist to provide recovery support services for individuals and family members who have been impacted by addiction. Our services are no cost, and all of our information is available on our website at www.cowetaforce.org or follow us on Facebook.
Are you looking for a dog trainer with positive reinforcement to help you bond with your new furry friends, or to have customized training in your own home, or wonderful group classes? Check out Pits and Pals on their Facebook page. Rosemary has extensive certification in dog psychology, is an AKC certified evaluator, and Victoria Stillwell certified training team. Check out Pits and Pals Facebook for more information. Rosemary wants to remind you to adopt, don't shop, save a life at Coweta County Shelter today.
Shopping for insurance doesn't have to be stressful. I'm Christy, owner of Ellsworth Insurance, located here in Newnan, Georgia. We're an independent agency with access to multiple carriers for home, auto, life, health, and commercial insurance. We are your one-stop shop for your insurance needs. www.insurewithellsworth.com, 770-755-7053. We look forward to meeting you soon.
You're walking, shopping, or on your favorite trail. You get that feeling somebody's coming up on you. What do you do to be prepared in today's world? Hi, I'm Holly Reese. I'm the founder of Warrior Defenders. As a certified tactical self-defense instructor, I'm specializing in women's self-defense. All women of all ages have the ability to learn how to defend themselves effectively. With technical drills to build their survival skills, you can be your own hero. Classes and private seminars are available. Learn today to have a safer tomorrow. WarriorDefenders.com.
The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele.
Good morning. Welcome to Empower Strike Back. I'm your host, H.D. Reese. This morning is a beautiful Monday, and it is fall, y'all, and we're so excited to be on WQEE, the Key 99.1 FM. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Coweta Force, Mita Speaks and her segment on Save the Cat with SC Lauren, Ellsworth Insurance, and then Pits and Pals Dog Training, AKC Evaluator, local positive reinforcement trainer with Victoria Stillwell, and she also works with Hearts and Homes Rescue. And Pits and Pals always wants to remind you to adopt, not shop, and check out the local Coweta County Shelter, as there's quite a few animals always on the list there looking for forever homes that really have a limited time to be there. So check out that Coweta County Shelter located on Selt Road, and adopt, don't shop today, and remember Pits and Pals for your dog training. We have had a fabulous October, and it's not over yet. If y'all are enjoying the wonderful weather, I know I am too. We're going to be talking a lot about safety as the time change is coming up, so stay tuned for that coming up. And we are still talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The last few weekends, I have been at multiple events bringing awareness to domestic violence and how we can stop the silence in our communities, because a lot of the times victims of domestic violence don't know where to go or how to get help. Saturday, we were at a beautiful third annual Purple Ribbon Festival sponsored by the West Georgia Domestic Violence Shelter in Carroll County, and they cover regions including Coweta and Heard and those local counties there to help with task force and how to get help. And they were on the show before, so check the past podcast radio shows on Warrior Defenders YouTube channel and listen to everything they can do for our communities. We had a fabulous event, though, in Carroll County. There was like 1,500 people and kids, and everybody was out there supporting the shelter and bringing awareness to domestic violence. Lots of vendors and a beautiful lake community in Carroll County that just opened up in their park. If you have not been there, you have to check it out. I did share a really quick video on Warrior Defenders on Facebook of how beautiful it was out there. So it was amazing. And even when there isn't a festival, that place is always hopping with things to do for you and your family. And the community in Carrollton is always fun to be there. So definitely check that park out. When it comes to domestic violence and keeping the awareness going, it's year round. So whenever you see me out in public, I have my purple in my hair. I'm wearing purple because that is the color for domestic violence awareness, is purple. It is also colors for other things, but a lot of times in October you see breast cancer awareness. It can coincide. So share your colors with pink and purple and drop them on my website at Warrior Defenders on Facebook and Instagram of you wearing your purple and pink for the month. Today we're going to discuss what domestic violence is, the statistics about domestic violence, the power and control wheel, which is so important, and how to support a survivor. So domestic violence, some people don't understand, it's not just physical. It's intimidation, it can be physical, it can be abusive behavior, and it can be a pattern that controls a partner. And 1 in 3 women experience domestic violence, and 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. This adds up to more than 10 million people a year. This is a silent epidemic in our homes, in our families, and in our communities, and it affects all levels of the family, not just the partner, the kids, and even the animals are involved in this. 20,000 calls are placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide on a typical day. And there is hotline websites available. If you put in domestic violence hotline, that number is nationwide and it will show up, and there is an escape button on those websites, so check that out if you know anybody who is in need of getting information in your area. 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, and stalking by an intimate partner. This is 12 million people a year. And it's not just females. Male victims have statistics too for domestic violence. 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner violence, and 1 in 25 men have been injured by intimate partner violence. 25% of domestic violence crimes reported to police were committed against men. And a lot of times men don't want to come forward and say they've been beat up by their partner, because that definitely shows that they feel weak. So we want to make sure that we give them their voice and their power to take back, because it's not always women being beat up by men. It is reversed. Narcissists come in all forms, men and women, all ages. Narcissism can start in teenage years as well. And that's why in February, there's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month too, especially around Valentine's Day. So look for that and stay aware that year-round as well, teens can be involved in domestic relationships that are violent or intimidating. The interesting thing about the power and control wheel, which if you can see it, you can tell that it is a wheel. It is a cycle. The center of it is power and control. The outside of it is physical violence, and that is the outside. But the interior part discusses using children, making your partner feel guilty, making them rely that if you leave, I can control the children. That also goes along with animals as well, because some of us, like me, our animals are our children, and that can be used against you when you're trying to leave a relationship or get something done. Using male privilege when it's a male against a female, treating her like she's a servant, making her do everything, thinking this is my right. You can use economic abuse, holding the money, keeping the woman from working, not giving her any freedom, then they can't get away. Then there's using coercion and threats. So when it comes to coercion and threats, you are saying you're going to do something like hurt them, threatening to leave, commit suicide is a very strong one. Report her as a bad mother, making her drop the charges against you for assault, and making her do illegal things. So in Georgia, the police have the right to press the charges against an abuser if they see that there's proof of abuse, and it's not part of the woman's right. But in other states and some other counties, the police don't have that right. So that way they can convince the partner to drop the charges if the abusing partner doesn't want to be put in jail. But I know in my case, the police pressed the charges against him, and that gives the abused victim a voice that they might not know that they had. So that is extremely valuable in certain areas. Using intimidation is one that is really common. Making her afraid by using intimidation gestures, smashing things, destroying property, and here again uses the pets as you're going to hurt the pet if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and displaying weapons. There's a TV show on Netflix called Made, and he punched a wall. He never hit her, but he punched the wall, and one of the statements that she said in the show was, if he punches a wall, what's going to happen next time? So realize that even if they're not hurting you, if they're showing or displaying that kind of behavior, you need to be aware that this behavior can turn violent against you at any time, or your children or your pets in the area. Using emotional abuse, this one is so unrecognized as domestic violence that it really needs to be brought up to the main front. Putting somebody down in public, making them feel bad, calling them names, making them think you're crazy, playing mind games, gaslighting, making her feel guilty for something she didn't do. This right here, people don't understand. You can have a good relationship where you kid and joke back and forth. There's a fine line right there where you are controlling that person by making them feel like they're not worthy. And you will see that sometimes. You can tell by their eye level, or even how somebody holds hands in public, on how that changes the dynamics of the relationship. So that one is really under talked about when it comes to domestic violence, and it really needs to be understood a lot more. If you are feeling like you're not being appreciated in your relationship, really evaluate how you're being treated. Are you being gaslit? Are you getting these negative comments? Are they talking bad about you in front of your friends, or even behind your back to their friends? Think about it for a little bit. Realize maybe you need to analyze your relationship and have a discussion. Now, there's a lot of details on discussing. If you can't have a discussion with somebody, there's a problem. A lot of the times abusers will use isolation in their control, move them away, not let them talk to certain people, definitely remove them away from their family. You have to make sure that you stay close to your family and stay in communication with everybody. If they're telling you that they get jealous because you're talking to certain people, you might want to evaluate your situation. This is all on the power control wheel. And minimizing and denying and blaming. Making light of the abuse and not talking about concerns is serious. Saying the abuse didn't happen, shifting responsibility for the abuse behavior, saying, look what you made me do. We hear that a lot. And that is something that you really need to be aware of. If they're saying it's your fault that they just did this or treated you like that, that's on the power and control wheel. So when you're going through the power and control wheel, let's go through it again. You're using intimidation, right? Emotional abuse, that is not physical. Using the isolation, minimizing and denying and blaming. Using your children, this is all in the wheel. Using male privilege, we've seen that. Economic abuse, put these all in a list. Using coercion and threats. If this is all in your wheel of your relationship, This is all categorized as domestic violence. This is why we need to break the silence on this, because a lot of these behaviors don't seem dangerous, but if built up in this constant circle, they can become extremely dangerous. So one of these things in this relationship of domestic violence is called love bombing. So what is love bombing? It sounds really nice, but it's really not. When they are over the top display of affections, treat you like your amazing queen, and attempt to influence the person. Although it may feel like you're being really taken care of, this is a warning sign in some relationships. You have compliments. Number one, compliments are great. When they're exaggerated and over the top, could be a warning sign. Examples: you were created for me. My life would be nothing without you. And if you're still getting to know your partner, these comments could be very uneasy. So it takes 18 months to actually get to know somebody before you commit to a relationship. And I love that scientific study because it's so true. After 18 months, they really can't hide who they are anymore. So when you're getting to know somebody, these amazing, over-the-top, all of a sudden compliments can be dangerous and be love bombing. Gifts are great. So receiving gifts could be a tactic used later to manipulate the relationship. So you have to be careful when you get the gifts. Gifts could include paying living expenses, designer clothes, and hotel stays. Those are very big gifts, okay? Those are big warning signs. Gifts don't always have to be expensive. Paying for your drinks for one night could exchange for a dance or something you don't want to do later. So if they say, well, I bought you dinner, or I bought you drinks, so you owe me this, that's the wrong kind of gift. A gift is given from the heart. It's not given to get something back. Communication. You should never feel overwhelmed by the amount of communication you're receiving. So you have to set boundaries. If they're texting you 10, 15 times and you're not responding back, and then they get all these negative text messages after that, something's wrong. They're being possessive. They're being over interested. So there is a fine line. If somebody texts you and you don't text them back for a couple hours and they get mad, you have to be concerned. If you text them back and say what was going on and they are okay with that, that's good communication. So there's a fine line with a lot of this stuff. That's why it's so easy to sneak into a relationship. So a lot of the times in the community, I get questions asked, how do you support a survivor? It's so hard to watch somebody go through that as a friend or a family member. You don't know what to do. So we have certain things that we can do and certain things that will push them away. So one you want to do to support a survivor is offer options without pushing them to do something. So be there for them. Let them know you believe them. Ask what you can do for help. And don't judge them when they tell you, because their decisions are not going to always coincide with yours. On the outside, you're going to say like, wow, you need to leave like right now. And on the inside, they're not ready. It takes up to 7 times for somebody to actually leave a relationship before they do. And that is attempted leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back. So you definitely want to support their decisions. And when they're ready, help them create a safety plan, because they're the ones that are going to come to you because you were the one who listened the whole time. If you decide to cut them off, then they might not have anybody else. And it is difficult to listen to them all the time. I know, because I was there and I watched what my family went through. But try to be that one person who can at least listen and give them a platform to talk out what they're going through. You also could give them a safety bundle if it's a safe environment to do so, a stun device, a striking tool, a personal body alarm. You can even upload the app to their phone, but sometimes that's dangerous if they're not in a safe place. And realize that sometimes having those self-defense tools, if they're living in that environment, is probably not always the best thing that you can do. But you can also get them in touch with people who can get them to a safe place. Now, believe it or not, the most dangerous time in a domestic violence relationship, even though you're living through so much, though, when you think you're free and you've gotten away, that is the most dangerous time, because they now realize they're losing control. They will now get more aggressive in their contact. They will start stalking. They will start putting air tags on your devices and your cars and things like this. And that's when they need to be equipped with training, with self-defense knowledge, with learning situational awareness, learning how to have a home invasion safety plan, learning how to be able to get away, changing up their environments on how they're driving, reliving your life to be aware more and be prepared. And in my book, Going Beyond Your Programming anthology, and that is where I share my story of how I needed to change my life to be my own hero. And that's where that started. So I would definitely want to have y'all check that out, because there's 12 other authors in there that share their stories about going through things in their life that we thought we could never get out of with our programming. And for me, it was definitely being a survivor of domestic violence and reliving my life on how I needed to change the way I lived, how I looked at where I was going, being aware of my surroundings, and being aware that stalking is part of this. And so once you leave, you then go into, now they're going to stalk you to try to get you back. So there is stalking awareness. There's a whole panel that I teach on this at my seminars, as well as abduction, first-person shooter survival, home invasion setup and safety plans, and along with human trafficking and other really good seminars that people need to educate themselves with on that. It's not just about going into a room, learning self-defense, hitting on a dummy. It's about the mindset, the warrior mindset, and especially with domestic violence, you need to have that warrior mindset to be able to survive what you're about to go through and step through that line. Like I said in my story, they handed me my restraining order and said, learn to defend yourself. This will not save your life. We need to bring domestic violence to the forefront. We need to realize we need to break this silence. People need to know that it's not their fault of what they're going through. They didn't make a bad decision in their relationships that they were aware of. They were slowly driven into that relationship by the narcissistic behavior that is hidden. And I talk about it in my book. It's a Narcissist 101 playbook. They all use the same lines, the same actions. It's all the same, and we're not trained for it. So educate yourself when you're going into a relationship and realize it's not your fault if you get stuck in one. But there are people out there who can help you. They tell you you're not alone. They tell you you're alone, but you're not alone. You're not. And please be aware of that. Because as a survivor myself, I felt the same way. And any of y'all that are listening out there today that are going through this, please know you're not alone. There are people out there who can help you. There are safe places you can go. And there are plans that can be made. No matter your circumstances, you may think that it's hopeless. There are plans that can be made. I want you to contact the domestic violence hotline number. It is 800-799-7233. That domestic national hotline number is 800-799-7233. You can also text and say START to 88788. Text START to 88788. They will get you to a safe place. They will get you a plan. They will get you counselors to know, to tell you exactly what you need to do to get out. Break the silence on domestic violence. Be your own hero. Contact Warrior Defenders if you need any help. I will get you started on learning how to be your own hero and learn today to have a safer tomorrow. Look out for one another. And we'll join you next time on Empower Strike Back on WQEE The Key 99.1 FM.